You gave me 70% chance of survival. 10 months of torture. Chemo. Radiation. Radiation made it some nights that I couldn't breathe. It messed up my throat. You know what, cancer? I won.
Hey, what are you guys doing in my car? Well, I guess if you all want to ride around with me, that's fine, but we're going to take you back to 2007. Boey Byer, a young woman from Corvallis, was battling cancer. The ABC show Home Improvement, the Home Makeover show, came out and produced a whole show. They built her a house, and we got to kind of tag along and show a little bit about the behind-the-scenes look at how they build these homes, how the community gets involved. And then we had some really nice talks with Boey Byer. Before we get to any of that, though, I want to set it up just a little bit to kind of give you an explanation of what she was going through.
Janessa Byer is just an above-average 8-year-old. Everyone calls her Boey, but that is a long story as to why. She likes the things that most little girls like: clothes, her closet, and her hair. In January of '06, everything changed.
I was praying with my son right before bed, and the bathroom's right across the hall, and we hear her screaming, "I've got a problem, I've got a problem." And so we ran in there, and she had coughed up a little tumor.
Boey was sick, real sick. She'd had some sinus pain the week before. Cancer. The technical name, Rhabdomyosarcoma, a muscle cell cancer, very fast-growing, aggressive, deadly. And their daughter had it.
A very fast-growing...
Very aggressive, very rare, only 250 cases a year. Very rare,
children.
underfunded, very underfunded for research.
The Byers are banking on faith and the doctors to save their little girl.
You know, life is really funny and interesting, ironic, I guess. I had no idea when I got assigned to go shoot this story on Boey Byer, how much of an impact that little girl was going to have on my life, and kind of what she was going to lead me into that I had no idea was coming. Before we meet more of Boey, though, I think let's look back at the community and how Corvallis rallied around this family and did some amazing things for them. I'm going to run in and get a cup of coffee, and I'll come back when that segment's over, and we'll look more at Rick Dancer TV for tonight. So stay with me. We'll be back.
Building a house in a week. No one ever thought you could do that until ABC's Extreme Home Makeover show proved that it could be done. But it's not easy.
Those first 2 days, the first 48 hours, I had about 3.5 hours sleep.
Kent Behunin works for NSCI, part of Parr Lumber Company. Parr provided the lumber package for the Corvallis home.
And we actually got the final set of plans the Friday before the show was to build. And so we worked that weekend, produced our wall panels in our wall panel plant in Redmond, Oregon, and produced the trusses that weekend too at our quality truss plant in Redmond. And it was right up to the 11th hour producing those things and getting them on the road and getting them brought over here. So it was a little bit, it took a lot of planning.
Kent has good reason to be on board. He understands cancer. His wife fought breast cancer and beat it. You don't forget how that feels, ever.
You don't get those opportunities a lot. And when they come your way, it's an opportunity that Parr likes to try to step up to the plate too.
A lot of people stepped up for this project.
You're tripping over everything. Every time you turn around, there's somebody right here in your face.
People like plumber Jason Hellman.
Being in the trade, you wonder, how does this happen? How do they do this in a day? And it's incredible, yeah.
Jason says it was a lot of hurry up and wait.
At that point in that house, there was, at one point in a 4,000 square foot house, there was 100 plus people in there. And that's crowded. That's real crowded. And it's hot, real hot. For all of that to happen and for as smooth as it went is impressive.
Mike Goodrich and his crew at Legend Homes really put this thing together. ABC gives you a template, but the legend begins and ends with Mike and his people.
Oh, we built a house. You know, the concept of the show is to build a new house for the family. And so they need a builder to put those pieces together, and that's what we end up doing.
When you see this all on television, it looks so easy. Trust me, that's just TV. It's not reality. You don't see all the planning and work that has to happen before the red light comes on and the camera is rolling.
Yeah, by the end of the day, we had some guys kind of dropping off a little bit, a lot, and but luckily we had enough manpower to keep bringing them back in, cycling them back in.
The Byers makeover was done during the hottest week of summer. John Nordyke would do it all again in a heartbeat. His company did the landscaping.
They had so many production people as far as producers. I didn't know the titles. I didn't know what the pecking order was, but there was a lot of interruptions because of that. You'd just get started on the pond, and all of a sudden there'd be a camera crew there, and you'd have to stop and move out of the way. They'd do their thing, move on. So you felt like you're kind of losing some time.
People all over the site wanting to help, working around the cameras, the stars, the setup.
They had close to 2,000 people volunteer. And when you have that many smiling faces at 4 o'clock in the morning and people handing you water and, doing whatever it took to keep you going, was pretty awesome.
John also had personal reasons for doing this for Boey and her family.
Personally, I'm a cancer survivor twice. I knew before that it put its enormous stress on family members. To see the Byers family go through this, and to see the community come out, to me it was like a huge, like the old-fashioned barn raising. But you can times that by 100 on what they did in 5 days. We had poor people, we had rich people, we had people from different walks with their kids out there volunteering before they went to work. To me personally, seeing that because of this family and their needs was an extremely emotional, and it was an extremely huge highlight in my life to see what people will actually come out and do for a family in need.
Watching it happen, your town taking on a project, a family, being a real community, it doesn't get any better than this.
Watching our own local Beavers team come in there and help demo the house was great. It was a great opportunity. I met a lot of people that I would have never met.
Mike says friends, neighbors, complete strangers were coming out of nowhere to help.
I think everybody that was out there learned something about the community. You're just working side by side with not only the guys that worked on the house, but also the volunteers that came from the community. One of the biggest problems we had with managing volunteers was the fact that there was too many. We couldn't keep up with all the people that wanted to volunteer, and for the most part, any frustration we had was just the fact that we couldn't get people on the site to help out that really wanted to. So I think that's what you learn, that people have this enormous capacity to give, and they want to volunteer, and you can provide that opportunity.
Too many volunteers. Now there's a problem you'd like to have. The show has proven that you can still do an old-fashioned barn raising, only in this case, it's a home. Would Legend Homes do it again?
It's just the right thing to do. You can't look at an opportunity to do something for a little girl with that kind of courage and a family that's going through what they're going through, and be in a position where you can help make it happen and not participate.
We'll be right back with Boey. Not many dairy farmers can brag about the fact that their cow manure doesn't stink, but at Lockmead Farms, they've got the electricity and the digesters to prove it. Poo to power in 48 hours is what Lockmead Farms likes to say. This state-of-the-art digesting system means Lockmead Farms is in some way recycling, reusing, and repurposing all of its so-called waste. Lockmead grows 80% of the feed on the farm. The cows turn that feed into milk. The undigested feed is manure. These giant tanks and an elaborate system repurpose the manure into methane gas, enough to power 300 homes. And the side benefit? The dairy farm odor is greatly reduced. In fact, you can hardly smell it at all. Even what comes out of the digesters is recycled. The liquids are put back into the fields to fertilize the crops that feed the cows. The solids are dried and used for bedding. Already, Lockmead Farms reduced its greenhouse gas emissions by 20%, and it's producing electricity at the same time. At Lockmead Farms, reuse, recycle, and repurpose is just the way we do business.
It's interesting that people with speech difficulties, stuttering, whether it's stuttering or an R sound or anything like that, for some reason it seems like people think that there's something else wrong with the person, like maybe they're not very smart.
I'm Elias, and I'm 7 years old, and my grade is 2nd.
Some of these kids might grow out of their speech problems given time, but the question is, what's going to happen to them in the meantime? Are they going to be, given a self-image that is just not positive,
I couldn't get the quite right R, and I didn't have the right position with my tongue.
Let's give me your best there. Ooh, hey, that was good. That was really good.
Teachers are really nice, and they play games with you and they have you do pretty easy stuff to make you do your R's right, and whatever you're working on.
Yeah, STHR, those are the ones that tend to be the more problematic ones. Well, it's very treatable. Most kids, we talked earlier about how long it takes. That can vary, but 6-8 months, up to a year sometimes.
I thought it was going to be like blah, 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 this big sheet of paper, then you have to read all these R words, blah, 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 and work on your own the whole time you're there.
It's kind of weird being with Elias today because I sounded just like that. My O's came out like this, and I couldn't change it. My mom and dad would tell me how they were teachers, so they tried to get me to learn how to speak better, but they weren't trained in how to do it. So this speech therapist worked with me every day and taught me how to correct my R's so that I could say Rick Dancer.
Yeah. Nowadays the thinking is really, if there's a problem, which means if we can determine that the child is significantly behind where they should be for their age, the earlier the better, really.
Well, see, I used to get teased a lot. I think we've learned something since then. It sounds like people aren't as teased as much, but I was teased relentlessly because people would come up and say, you O's, and they'd make fun of you, and Wiki can't say his name, and stuff like that. And as a little kid, it was terrible. It started I was quiet and shy, believe it or not, anyway. And I think that kind of played a role in that because I didn't want to communicate. Because when I did, it was a buffer between me and saying an actual word. So I didn't talk as much when I was a little kid like that.
The teachers are smart, and they make up a way to make kids feel at home with working on their R's or whatever.
I think that's the thing that's exciting sitting in there watching Elias is, we have to be able to communicate. And that's what Eugene Hearing and Speech Center is all about, is learning to communicate with other people, whether it's hearing or talking. And anything that stands in your way can be an obstacle to being who you really are.
Yes, she is. And by the way, that was really good with actually the first time you said it was just the best.
This is Corey. She's from the Eugene Hearing and Speech Center. You've seen her before 100 times on the show. But we're here because Oakshire Inspires Brewing for Better Lives. They do a lot of nice things for different nonprofits. Mm-hmm. They're doing a great thing for us.
Yes.
$1 of every pint, January 14th.
Wednesday, January 14th at Oakshire.
All day, 11 to 10, $1 a pint is going to go to Eugene Hearing and Speech Center. Mm-hmm. So that money is then used to help a lot of people in our community better communicate, better hear, better speech, all kind of literacy programs.
Help the kids in our literacy program, yeah, goes
So-
to everything that we do here.
So we're going to be there, not the whole day.
Yeah, we'll be there for sure, though, in the evening maybe.
So just join us and come down and support Eugene Hearing and Speech Center and do a good thing for the community and do something nice for Oakshire as well, because we really love the fact that they will do this for all kinds of agencies, including ours.
Yeah, excellent.
All right, I'll see you there.
All right, I'll see you there. Oakshire inspires.
God, you people are still here. You don't give up, do you? Well, I'm gonna start calling somebody about you guys following me around everywhere I go. Before we get to the next story, I wanted to make sure that you knew Women's Space is having a big community breakfast. The video you're going to see is going to tell you more about that. But what you need to know is you need to register ahead of time. So either go on their website or give them a call and register ahead of time. I'm going to be there that morning. I've been there for the last 3 or 4 years. It's a great event, and you'll find out so much about what they're doing and how you can get involved. So, all right, go back to the show, okay? Get out of here.
One of the things when people hear about Women's Space, the first thing they think of is our crisis line and our safe house. And those are the primary services. A lot of people are shocked that we do anything else.
Hi, this is Michelle. Hi, Michelle. A friend gave me this number and said that I needed to call Women's Space.
One of the other really powerful things we do through all of our other services is we connect survivors with other survivors.
I'm not afraid to tell other women that if they come here, that they're going to find help and that they're really going to be able to start living a life in a different way that they've ever lived.
They see each other in our support groups and everything. When they go to the economic empowerment groups, they see them doing these great things. They realize they're not alone. And then at the breakfast, our community is going to get to see our survivors and all the wonderful services that Women's Space provides, and they're going to be able to see how they can connect and how they can support us, whether it be financially, volunteering, or whatever it may be. Maybe it is you have an apartment complex, you have jobs that are available. Let us know. It's the connections. It's the connections, us connecting with them. And our community connecting with Women's Space and the survivors and the work we do.
I see a lot of people with shoulder problems. Shoulder problems are really common. You know, you're a swimmer. Mm-hmm. You like to swim, so you're getting that overhead motion. When we talk about posture, even slight anterior rotation of your shoulder puts your shoulder joint in a compromised position. And for the shoulder to work properly, those rotator cuff muscles have to be working correctly. So the only way that they can do that is when your shoulder is actually in the position that it needs to be. And then the rotator cuff muscles can function properly. We can, use these muscles here need to get stronger. These middle shoulder blade muscles are some of the muscles that are very important in holding and maintaining your shoulder in the right neutral position. We can show you some really simple exercises that are going to target this without getting these other muscles going.
See, when you squeeze on that, I feel that.
Yeah.
I mean, it hurts.
Yeah.
Dr. Fryfield, I didn't know you were a swimmer. Hi, Rick. How you doing? How long you been swimming?
Oh, I've been swimming my whole life. Yeah.
Hey, do you got time I can ask you a question about prostate cancer?
Yeah, sure.
Can you cure prostate cancer?
Oh, sure. Prostate cancer can be cured all the time. I hear that from guys, though. I hear them saying, I've heard prostate cancer can't be cured. That's absolutely not true. So prostate cancer can be cured with radiation or cured with surgery. As long as it's localized, as long as it doesn't spread, we can cure prostate cancer.
Is that what scares a lot of guys the most when they find out they have it, that this is not curable, when it's in fact one of the most curable cancers out there?
Well, it is, yeah, and they need to find out about that and find out about their options, because sometimes, and this is a little strange, sometimes prostate cancer, even though it can be cured, doesn't need to be cured, because prostate cancer is so slow growing that depending on a guy's age and his other medical problems, sometimes we make the decision to not do any treatment, even though we could. And that's where we have to individualize, and that's where he needs to go in and talk to his doctor and find out about his case.
Okay, you probably need to finish your laps. We've been talking too long, and I know how it is. It's nice to talk to you, too. See you later, Dave.
There are many reasons to cover a story like this one. It's not every day that ABC comes to town and builds a family a new home. How often do you get to pull a project like that together and make it work? The volunteers, now that's something to talk about. 2,000 people, all helping one family. But at the center of all of this, there's really only one story. That is 8-year-old Janessa Byers, otherwise known as Boey.
So what did you think when you saw that? You know, when they show you the little video. What did you think when you were like on your vacation?
I wish I was there.
Really? Why?
Because it looks so fun. I did destroy the house.
Here's the headline. Boey has cancer. What we don't talk about is cancer hurts. Cancer is ugly. Cancer is trying to kill Boey. When you don't know what tomorrow holds, hope and a nice place to live really can make a huge difference. Cancer must not rob you of your dreams.
If you could have one thing in the whole world, what would you want? Look at your face. What are you doing that for? Is that the dumbest question you've ever heard?
I don't know.
What would you want?
I want for Boey's hair to grow back and for her to go to school and for her to be with her friends and have sleepovers and for me and her to go shopping and just get our old life back and have tons of fun like we used to.
Last week, Boey did get to go back to school for half days. I wish you could have been there in person. Friends have a way of lifting us up, setting us straight, and reminding us of why we want to live.
It affects everybody in the family. Everything from Boey losing her hair to Chris and Joe, her big brothers. Their whole world is blown apart.
Blessings and pain seem to come as a package deal these days. Meeting her favorite singer, American Idol star Chris Daughtry, now that's a good day. Having a new house, a really nice new house, and all those volunteers who helped, you can't replace that day either.
Last night we were both praying and just, you know, crying out and crying. And it's like, the stuff is awesome. It's just hard to enjoy the...
I haven't really taken it in yet because we're so focused and our heart is so broken over what's happening with her. But we also feel so blessed and so grateful to all the love that went into this house. But it's so hard to just really relax and just take it all in because I can't relax.
But the cloud of cancer never leaves.
You know, we would trade it all in a second to have her health back, even though it doesn't work that way.
You get so sick of it. Sick.
I want it to be me and it takes care of her. I don't know how else to explain how I want to protect her. I just want to go in there, grab it out of her, have it be me that's suffering, not her. And it's absolutely heartbreaking as a mom and how much I love her to know that she has to go through this.
We personally believe, you know, our spiritual beliefs, we're trusting in a higher power for the results. And we're, you know, that's where we sit on a daily basis. But for the medical community, the last thing she said, which was a real shock, is that they're doing everything they can for a cure, but a 5-year prognosis is not very good.
Basically, it sounded like the doctor was saying they're doing the chemo to prolong her life.
We're in this world and we're, you know, following the doctors because they're God's gift to us as well, but we're also tackling this spiritually.
It's a fine line between our faith and where the doctors are coming from because there are scientific minds, this and this and this, and that isn't how God works. So it's where our faith is, we walk by faith, not by sight.
Faith doesn't come in black and white. It always comes in shades of gray. You have a new home, but you still owe more than $200,000 on your mortgage.
I remember the day after they left and we were all sitting in our house looking around, and it was this huge blessing, like an answer to our prayers. And then here's Boey laying there crying because she's feeling horrible, and it's just like reality just really sunk in. We had this couple glorious weeks of a vacation, Extreme Makeover, being blessed by the community. This, awesome, ABC is awesome, just coming in and helping us, and we're still faced with the cold, hard reality of our baby girl has to get through this.
Sometimes you dare to let down your guard.
We'll be stronger. We'll be stronger. We are stronger.
And I've always believed this, and now the rubber's meeting the road. Now I have to really believe it for my, in spite of what I see.
Unshakable becomes a learned lifestyle.
We cannot thank the community enough. We love the community, and we're so beyond grateful. There'll never be enough words to express our gratitude.
A house, money, nice stuff, it won't change the big things. It can't make Boey better, and that's all that really matters. Right now, right here.
She still asks when checkout time is, because it seems like we're at a resort.
But why this was done and the love behind its construction really does matter. In eternity, it's part of the picture, part of the plan.
When I closed the door and it was by myself, it literally was by myself, because Rachel and Boey were at the hospital, and for a moment I still felt the loneliness, being alone in this battle, in the darkness. And then I turned on the light, and to be where we're at, and just to see that we're not alone, all the people that built this place where we live. It's hard to describe. It's all alone, but so supported. It's that both. It's both things.
And for Boey, Mom says a healing is already in the making. That's called faith, hope, and you do it because you love. Boey is back.
It's almost over. It's almost over. Just hang on, baby girl. It's almost over.
So, Boey Byer died in December of 2007, just a few short months after we shot that program. But what she taught me, this is when life is so weird, is because what she taught me while we were friends was something I would use in 2 years in 2010 when I myself had to fight cancer. I learned that from an 8-year-old girl. You see, don't ever think that cancer beat Boey Byer. It didn't beat. She won the war. Because winning the war against cancer isn't about being alive or not. It's about how you live once you find out you have it. That's how you beat cancer. And Boey Byer, you're my hero, and I thank you. Now, here's the other part of the story. The Byers ended up having to sell the house. They couldn't afford it anymore and had to sell it. And it was really, really hard. But Rob Byers, Boey's dad, was told that he would never father children again. And the doctors were wrong. The Byers now have 2 more children running around the house. So life goes on. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. And remember, it is really how you live your life every day. How you live your life. Good night.